It's December 28th, about a year and change after I've officially said, forget the corporate world, I'm a full-time artist, damn it. Feels good to say that for about 5 minutes before the Lyft app on your phone with the past due bill notifies you to go pick up somebody from the Walmart you frequently buy your favorite flavor of ramen noodles from. Because that's all your black artistic ass can afford to eat right now. I'm now writing poems in a more traditional way of using a paper and pen because my computer died peacefully in her sleep. I was there to support it to the end. I'm suddenly thankful to the former meth head woman with the spicy attitude working at the Kroger who wears her history in her mouth for lending me a pen I didn't want to buy and she wasn't expecting to receive back. For the record, the idea of her being a former meth head is neither a fact nor a judgment. It's merely a metaphorical description derived from my observation of her. She could have easily come from a good Christian home and just so happened to overindulge in too much butterscotch coffee table candy over the years. But coming from where I'm from, that spicy attitude looks like withdrawal symptoms and her mouth looked a little methy to me. Last night was the first time I had been to an open mic in maybe 4 years. It felt so good to be home again. I had to remind myself how good I am. Hell. And in doing so, it reminded me that it's time to have the talk with my daughter. No, not the talk about boys and the birds and the bees. At her age, she's too scared to talk to me about that. That's her mother's job. No, not the talk about the difference between Playtex regular sport and Playtex super sport. At her age, I'm too scared to talk to her about that. That's her mother's job. This is the talk that got lost with that bag of emotions in a bedroom of solitude tears. At her age, she's too scared to let daddy hold her secret bag of feelings. That's her mother's job. She hides them from daddy, behind that emotionless wall, right where the depression starts. As often as I can bring the house down, in a room full of strangers and only one familiar microphone, I'm still a foreigner to my daughter's emotionless wall, built to segregate her from my immigrant concerns, and right at this border is where the depression starts. This poem is for every awkward black girl that didn't become famous for being insecure. For those that were a little more tie-dye shirts and shell toes as opposed to Mary Janes and gauchos. For those who had friends that were outwardly embracing Janet Jackson, but in your lonesome, you were inwardly craving Tracy Chapman. For those who didn't come up with the 5 Heartbeats, The Temptations, any movie with Lyons in it, but can recite the Sandlot word perfect. And I'm making stuff worse because I'm cracking jokes. Anytime I mention a black film she hadn't seen, I immediately scream, "You're killing me, Smalls!" This poem is for every black person that's ever been called Oreo. That dreaded cookie, dipped into a glass of identity crisis, leaving you with as much self-esteem as that little white ring that lines the bottom of the glass after the last gulp. And right dead in the center of this ring is where the depression starts. As a black father, it's time for me to have the talk with my daughter about how depression starts and how to stop it from starting. Step 1, take it to the grocery store. Go to any random aisle and fart loud, really loud. Twice at least. Blow them walls out. At her age, this is really funny. Do whatever you gotta do to make her laugh so hard that that bedroom of solitude tears suddenly wants to come out and play again. Find a former meth head woman with a spicy attitude and crack jokes about being too broke to buy a free pen. And allow your daughter to witness the joy and the pride and a rough textured smile that's honestly happy to be alive, as opposed to that beautiful smile that's big and wide just to cover up the hidden thoughts of suicide. Through this lesson, she'll learn to stop depression from starting. Step 2, recognize the woman you married used to be this same little girl, except she didn't have you as a daddy. She didn't have a daddy at all. So you pick a night where you love her loud, really loud. Twice at least. Blow them walls out. Remind her that the bastards that called her Oreo were too immature to realize how sweet it is to split that cookie open and lick the insides. So you take your time, splitting her cookie open and licking the insides. Leave no part of that cookie unlicked. Trust me, it stops depression from starting. You'll know you're doing it correctly when she suddenly calls you daddy. Step 3, take a good look in the mirror. Understand that being a full-time artist doesn't come with a safety net because sometimes failure is just a part of the process. Learn to pick and choose your battles and cherish every moment that honestly makes you smile. And every so often, cut off the Lyft app. Have a bowl of your favorite flavor of ramen noodles and go do something that you're really, really good at. Just to remind yourself how good you are. Trust me, I've learned from experience. It stops depression from starting.